Hi, it's Jason from Blue Border Games here with another video for my game Luton Legacy. And this video is going to provide a little bit more lore and background on the game. You might have seen from some of the other videos that the game's very much based on the Great Mountain, the cataclysmic event that pretty much almost tore it down, and in turn tore down the Dwarven Empire that was basically based there as its seat of power. Within and on the Great Mountain, there are three factions that have formed part of the game, and they're Clan Delve, Clan Nocturne, and Clan Sky, the remnants of the sort of former seat of power of the Dwarven Empire. But they're not the only factions for the game. There are going to be at least 7 more. And as with any game, it's based on a world, and I've created a map to show you the world and also the factions that will form part of the game. So as you can see from the map, there are several labelled locations within the various realms that sort of scattered around the Great Mountain in the centre there. Each of these areas, as I said, is sort of home to a faction that you can play in the game. And the first one we're going to look at is the Iron Hills. The Iron Hills are home to a particularly cruel, nasty, and evil sort of race of orcs, the Iron Hill orcs. With the fall of the Dwarven Empire, they see this as an opportunity for them to sort of rise to the top, so to speak. And they've always mined the Iron Hills for ore to create sort of all manner of weapons and armor to sort of fuel their war machine. Now they don't do that themselves. They enslave hundreds of races from slaves from other races to do the mining, to do the forging, and generally and often for their own sort of cruel amusement. They're not particularly pleasant faction to play with, but they are quite powerful, and they see Great Mountain as being an opportunity to sort of add to that sort of war effort. To the south of the Great Mountain, then we have Port Goldstone, and this is in fact the location where the Imperial Dwarf Navy, the IDN, was based and continues to be so. They were physically unaffected by the cataclysmic event that affected the Great Mountain, but of course that was their chain of command, their seat of command, and without it they don't get supplies and the sort of orders, etc., that they need to. They do maintain some sort of power over or control of the Crescent Sea and try and do their best with regards to the Shattered Archipelago. But they relied on the Great Mountain for something called sea scale armor to arm their warriors, which was a very sort of light, durable, and strong armor that meant that dwarves, who went overboard didn't drown. Of course, with the Great Mountain having now been sort of almost destroyed, they are keen to explore its hidden halls, and particularly its forges, find as much sort of partly or fully built sea scale armor that they can, or even the secrets to make it so they can make it themselves. To the west of Port Goldstone, then, we have the Baronies of Men. And these are the remnants of a much larger realm that would regularly appoint one of their barons as a high prince to rule a city that represented the sort of focus in the middle of all these baronies. However, there was once a high prince that didn't want to leave his seat of power and wanted to retain it, and some dark mystics from the blighted marshes got wind of this, and they approached him one day and said they could give him the secret and ability to rule forever with his retinue, family, and his army, provided they formed part of his court forever. Of course, the High Prince, being greedy, agreed to this, and when the spell commenced, he realised that in fact they were a group of very dark necromancers, and through that the city was cast and fell under a spell that turned its residents and occupants into the restless dead, giving the game another faction in conjunction with the human faction, the Baronies of Men. To the north of this, then, is the land of the Free Folk. The Free Folk sort of a halfling race that are sort of living in a bountiful place with sort of very rich pastures. There are woodlands full of game. So the focus of their life is very much on great feasts and sort of enjoying life, if you like. But even with this sort of contentment, they've heard of the great feasts that they used to have in the Great Mountain, and their purpose for being in the game is to go to the Great Mountain and sort of try and find the lost recipe books, casks of ale, and maybe some sort of particularly nice preserved provisions. So whilst you have the Iron Hill Orcs, the Baronies of Men, the Restless Dead, and to some degree the IDN looking for weapons and power and things to help their own causes, the free folk are just looking for some nice food, in effect. To the north then of that is the sort of northern glacier, but between that and the Great Mountain, what you have is a sort of frozen tundra. And within that, there are tribes of humans. These are the Northern Raiders. And whilst for the most time they sort of live in tribal groups that hunt the game of the tundra, such as the mammoths, etc., for food and clothing and the ivory and bones to create their weapons and armor. They are raiders by nature for not only survival but also for glory, and they see the Southland races are particularly soft, and they will regularly or regularly historically attack them to pillage and plunder. Now, of course, with the fall of the Dwarven Empire, which they saw as too great a force to ever threaten, with that now having fallen, they can see the Great Mountain as yet another prize ripe for the picking in what they consider the soft South lands. So that gives you a combination of almost 10 factions, but those of you who are watching will realize I've only named 9, because the 10th one is at the moment looking like being the sort of tribal or goblin bandits, and they're based pretty much sort of everywhere, very mobile, and again seeing an opportunity through the fall of the Dwarven Empire, they're rooting around the Great Mountain for some easy pickings as well. So there you have the 10 factions that have been worked up for the game Luton Legacy, and we will be releasing faction focus videos as and when the rules for each have been fully play tested and completed, or when I'm happy with them, and this will then complete that sort of initial release of factions for the game. There you have a bit more lore for the game Luton Legacy, giving you sort of a bit of an overview on the 10 factions that will form part of that sort of initial sort of setup that I have in mind. It's all based on the map that I've created, which I hope that you like. If you do, please give a thumbs up on the video here. If you like the video, please check out some of the others and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified as and when I release a new video, particularly those faction focused videos, or even a battle report involving some of them. So yeah, please like and subscribe to the channel. Please also check out the Facebook page, because that's being updated regularly with all sorts of developments and insights into the game. So yeah, I've been Jason from Blue Border Games. Thanks for watching.